What's going on, guys? Austin Zay back here with another video, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the 5 ways to get rich in your 20s. Now, if you're brand new to my channel, then my name is Austin and I am a real estate entrepreneur, okay? I'm a real estate investor, I'm a real estate agent, and I've got multiple other companies as well, okay? I've actually closed about 2,000 real estate deals in my career, and we're scaling very, very quickly. So I just want to talk to those of you right now that might be a little bit younger and you're wondering, like, Austin, like, how do I get rich in my 20s? Okay, like, what action items can I take to go ahead and set myself up for the future? When you're young, the number one thing you can do is to set yourself up for the future, right? At the end of the day, you always want to keep the future in mind, and you want to make good decisions that lead to a brighter future. And I think one thing to keep in mind as well is getting rich doesn't always just mean financially, although we're going to definitely talk about that in the video right now. But getting rich really means in all areas of life, right? We obviously have financially, but we also have spiritually, emotionally, physically, and relationally, right? And we want to make sure that you create a well-rounded life for yourself in the future. Because I personally know a lot of people that have a lot of money and they are miserable, okay? I know people that don't have any money and are very happy. So money isn't necessarily the key to happiness. And I know if you're watching the video and you don't have any money, you're probably like, Austin, life would be a whole heck of a lot better if I had more money. But that isn't necessarily always true. But regardless, we're going to talk about everything right now, so if you haven't already, I'd appreciate it if you'd take just a quick moment and smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm, and make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. So let's go ahead and dive into number 1. The first thing that you really want to focus on, no matter what age you are, this really applies to everybody, is to enjoy the journey. And this is something that I didn't do for a long time. Now, not enjoying the journey will cause you to probably never become rich in any area, because you're constantly in this negative mindset that you're really not even intentionally trying to be in, but as a result of you always being hard on yourself and not being okay with where you're at, you know, you're putting too much strain on yourself and your body and your mentality. Basically, it goes like this. You're telling yourself, I'll be happy when fill in the blank, right? And it's always this like future thing, like when I make 100 grand, then I'll be happy, right? When I make $500,000, then I'll be happy, right? When I have, 3 companies or, this many employees or whatever it might be, then I'll be happy, or fill in the blank of whatever that is, obviously for you. And therefore, you don't ever really enjoy the journey, right? You're never really celebrating the small victories. And the reality of it is, the small victories lead to the end goal, the end destination, right? Wherever it is that you're headed, really, the moment you get there, there'll just be another goal anyways, okay? And you've probably already seen this. If you've achieved anything in your life, then you know that whatever you've achieved, the moment you've gotten there, you're immediately like ready for the next thing, right? As human beings, we want to achieve more in life, whatever area that might be in, right? So if you're watching the video, then understand you have to enjoy the journey, right? Take the time to be grateful for where you are. This will start to program your mind to basically be positive, right? And you will actually start to achieve more victories because you're looking at these small victories as a victory, right? As opposed to not being satisfied or happy with the things that you're achieving. And once you start to do that, you will actually basically be telling your brain that you are a winner, right? And when you tell your brain over and over again that you're a winner, then you will continue to win. The second biggest thing you can do in your 20s, and honestly, even if you're a teenager, whatever it might be, or even if you're in your 30s, but again, in your 20s in particular, is to pay off bad debt, okay? Again, like I told you, I own multiple real estate companies. We have, like 45 people or so that work with us in our teams, in our organizations, in our companies. And, I've learned time and time again, right? You don't want bad debt, okay? There's definitely a difference between good debt and bad debt, okay? I know a lot of people that have good debt, and I know a lot of people that have bad debt, okay? And you don't want bad debt. Now, bad debt is obviously credit cards, student loan debt, right? If you have a mortgage with like a really high interest rate, you should probably do a refi, right? If you have like really high interest on anything, that is typically going to be bad debt. In a nutshell, if you're paying, 10 or 15 or 20% in interest, then the question becomes, and you're letting that balance sit there and you're paying on it over and over again, it's what could you do with that cash where could you invest that cash to make a better ROI on your money, right? A better return on investment, okay? So if you have $10,000 in credit card debt that you're paying 20% in interest on, right? Then the question becomes, that is a lot of money, right? You're paying a lot of money. Could you take, could you go make another 10 grand, right? Put that money elsewhere and make 10% on your money as opposed to spending 10%. So we want to definitely eliminate bad debt and not get into bad debt. And there's really a lot of reasons for that. You want to have good credit also, right? If you're in your 20s and you have bad debt and you have a bunch of debt, then you probably don't have great credit, right? And if you don't have great credit, it makes it really difficult to actually get rich later on in life, because the reality of it is you aren't setting yourself up to look good in the eyes of people that want to give you money, right? And we've all heard this saying, OPM, which is other people's money, right? So if we want to leverage other people's money, then the only way to do that is to build good credit. And the only way to do that is to not have a bunch of debt. Think of your credit score as like a report card, right? The higher the score you have, the better report card you have, and the more likely people will lend you money, right? They're going to look at your score, they're going to look at all of the factors associated with that score, and they're going to lend you money or not lend you money based on that, right? And if they do lend you money, the better score you have, the better interest rate and terms you're going to get for that money or with that money that they're lending you, right? So understand that paying off debt is really important. The third thing I think you should do in your 20s, if you haven't already, is really creating a budget and living by it, right? Successful people and wealthy people and rich people, they live below their means, right? But you can't possibly live below your means if you don't know what it is that you make versus what you spend, right? Like if you're not keeping track of anything, then how could you possibly know left from right? Like you're just kind of out there winging it every day, right? And you don't want to wing it every day when it comes to money. Remember, you got to give your money attention, right? Your money wants attention. You got to pay attention to the numbers. You have to know what is going on. So if you're making, $5 grand a month or 10 grand a month or whatever the number is, then you've got to know that exact amount of money that you're making and then exactly what it costs you to live, right? Like everything. You want to keep track of everything. Get a Google spreadsheet, get an Excel spreadsheet, take a notebook and write it down, right? Write down what does it cost, what's my car payment, my house payment, my rent, my phone bill, my Netflix, whatever it might be. How much money are you spending in food, travel, right? Whatever it is, and know that number. And then also know if that number is too high in relation to your income, then you've got to drop that number down in terms of what you're spending every month, because you're never going to be able to get ahead if you're spending what you're making, right? Again, wealthy people, they live below their means. I know a lot of wealthy people that live on 10 or 20 or 30% of their total income, right? Because they want to take the other, 70, 80 or 90% and they want to save it, and then ultimately they want to invest it. Which leads me to my fourth point, and that is to save your money, but don't just save to save, okay? You're going to save your money to invest your money, okay? So again, I see a lot of people that they're just saving to save. It's like, what are you saving for, right? Obviously you want an emergency funding. You want reserves, okay? You want enough money put aside in cash to be able to cover you if something bad happened, right? If you went through, a time frame in your life where, you needed to live off that reserve, right? You obviously want that. But once you have the reserve, once you have the money set aside, then you really want to go ahead and start thinking about that additional money you're saving. What are you saving for? Are you saving to buy a piece of real estate, a rental property, a multifamily property? Are you saving to invest into the stock market, into cryptocurrency, into NFTs? Like, what are you saving for, right? And understand and have a clear goal as to what it is that you're saving for. Don't just save to save. Like, nobody saved their way to being rich, right? Nobody saved their way to being wealthy. You could save for a year or two or three or five, if you have a goal, right? Like, hey, when I get 500 grand in the bank, I'm going to put 500 grand down on a $2 million property, which is 20% down or 25% down. And that's obviously my goal, right? So I'm saving to achieve that goal. But you've got to save to achieve a goal, because saving to save won't get you there, because remember, we have what they call inflation, right? So your money, your cash is actually losing value every single day, right? So if you're just saving to save, then ultimately you're going to get eaten alive by inflation, which is why you obviously see all of the wealthy people that own all of the assets, which is why you saw the last couple of years the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, right? Because unfortunately, it's just the way it works. You know, the poor people, they're getting stimulus checks and this and that, and they're blowing the money, right? The rich people own all the assets, and all the assets are going up in value, right? Real estate's going up in value. The stock market, right? The S&P 500, you know, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, NFTs, whatever it is that you're intrigued in, you know, over the course of 10 years, right? When you look at any asset class over the course of 10 or 15 or 20 years, it'll always go up in value. You have to remember that, right? So you got to own assets. So make sure you're saving to invest. And the fifth and final thing, if you want to get rich in your 20s, is have multiple streams of income eventually, okay? So if you can't do this right now, that is okay, right? But you want to start to think long term, how do I get multiple streams of income? What is that going to look like, right? Maybe right now you're working a 9 to 5, right? Maybe you're working a job. Maybe you're in school. It doesn't matter what you might be doing or what you think you're going to do in the next couple of years. But you want to make sure that you're starting to think about, how do I eventually get multiple streams of income? And it goes back to what we just talked about with saving to invest, right? If I go buy rental properties and I own rental properties, those rental properties are now producing income, right? So if I work a 9 to 5 and I've got a rental property, I'm now making money through earned income, right? My earned income, meaning I'm trading time for money, I'm making money, right? But while I'm doing that, my rental property is also making me money. So I now have 2 streams of income, right? So you could have 3, 4, 5. You know, they say that the average millionaire has 7 streams of income on average, okay? So again, if you want to get rich in your 20s or 30s or 40s or 50s, eventually you need multiple streams of income. So start to just kind of think about that. You know, what do you want that to look and feel like? You know, what kind of streams of income are you interested in? You know, watch YouTube videos. You know, take risk when you're young. Don't wait, you know, until you're older and you have a family and kids to take risk, right? You know, when you're young, now is the time to take the risk. Now is the time to take the leap of faith, right? So, you know, if you have an idea, pursue it, right? You want to fail forward. You're not going to succeed at everything you do, but you want to fail forward, right? Every successful person has more failures than they have successes, typically, right? But they fail forward. They're never giving up. They're never quitting. They're constantly pushing forward. They're constantly breaking through barriers, and therefore they eventually become wealthy. They become rich in every area of their life. Because at the end of the day, how you do anything is how you do everything, right? So if you have that mentality of, hey, I'm going to do whatever it takes, then you're not ultimately failing. You only really fail when you quit, okay? So understand that when you're pursuing multiple streams of income, they might not all work out, right? I know a lot of people, they go pursue e-commerce, they do Walmart automation, Amazon automation, they try trading stocks, they try trading Forex, they try trading crypto, they try, you know, getting into real estate, insurance, whatever it might be, and they fail, right? So you've got to take a few things when you're young and figure out, what are you good at? What are you passionate about? You know, what can you really see yourself doing based on your personality type? And then proceed to do more of that. And then once you do more of that, figure out, okay, what goes hand in hand with what I'm doing? You know, how can I do this and this over here simultaneously without this taking away from this, which is a whole nother video in itself. So if you want me to make a video on that, I'm definitely happy to. Let me know by dropping a comment down below. And I'd love to make a video talking about, you know, not chasing 2 rabbits at the same time. We've all heard this saying, the man who chases 2 rabbits catches neither. But again, you can have multiple streams of income if you do it right, right? You've got to get one going, set it up, nurture it, cuddle it, make sure, take care of it like it's your little baby, and then move on to the next. Maybe even delegate some stuff, hire some people eventually, right? And that is ultimately how eventually you can have multiple streams of income. So there you have it. Those are my 5 ways to get rich in your 20s. Okay, and again, you know, being rich isn't just about money, right? It's about so much more than money. I would encourage you to learn, to grow, to evolve, to read books, watch YouTube videos, listen to podcasts, right? And really start to, you know, embrace like the journey, right? But also dive into the knowledge, dive into the wisdom, and make sure that you're constantly growing, right? The people that are growing the most are the people that will ultimately succeed because they're never complacent, they're never satisfied, they're always feeding their brain with positive, good, quality information. Again, my name is Austin. I appreciate you watching the video. If you stayed to the very end, I would really appreciate it if you would smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm, and also subscribe if you haven't already, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.